which includes businesses in Bloomington and Normal. And I'm sure they're very small grants, but I want to find out more information about that too, because that's something we could publicize if arts organizations qualified for that there'd be small grants to attach themselves to the 66 route fanatics that come through. So Julia looks like she's cross-country skiing.
I can't believe we got more snow today, or last night, I guess. Thanks
Kelly?
for that, Kelly. You said Bloomington Bites and Brews. I'm assuming it includes Normal, or is it, do you know? I was just curious. I thought that was
That's
curious.
a really good question. The screenshot that I took so that I can't share it. That's why I have to circle back, but it says, it says BN, sorry, BN
Okay.
Bites and Brews.
Cool.
I saw BN and my brain filled in Bloomington.
Yeah.
Bad girl.
No, that sounds cool. And I mean, assuming things are sort of normal in May, at least we'll be able to be sitting outside.
Yeah, that would be, to have a big outdoor, a lot of outdoor stuff. It says Bloomington Normal Area Restaurant Week. And
Cool.
since a lot of the, uptown Normal, downtown Bloomington, there's opportunity to, at least let our arts organizations know this is going on, maybe put their stuff outside or kind of coordinate. And this is one of those things where we can't do the work, but we can actually explain what's going on and actually help amplify and encourage people to connect. But I want to hear if Matt has some ideas, because he's so enthusiastic about wanting to expand things too. More to follow.
Well, let's pause on that discussion for a moment, and can we? I think I'm going to go ahead and say we're mostly here. I know some folks might still be joining for attendance purposes. We'll keep an eye on that, but let's look at last meeting's minutes. Oh, joy. If you've already reviewed, does anyone have any edits or modifications to those lovely notes courtesy of Shannon? Thank you, Shannon. All right, if there's no changes, can we have a motion to approve the minutes, please? Meryl makes a motion.
I second.
Jeff seconds. Thank you, Jeff.
Welcome.
I see Shannon here, but on mute. Should we assume Shannon's okay to take meeting minutes, or do I need to do that? I'm sure she's got it.
I'm sure she's got it.
I was not.
I've had major technical difficulties, so I'm not even sure if I'm going to have a consistent flow with the internet here.
Okay.
I'm my third device, and none of them were wanting to connect fully. So I'm on my phone, which I believe will work. So it probably would be a good idea for someone to be on the backup, because as soon as this, like for whatever reason, decides not to work.
We got it.
Jim's raising his hand. Thank you, sir.
We got you, Shannon. Thank you. Don't you
Thanks.
love a technology morning like that?
This morning, it's early for those kind of problems.
I haven't even had my coffee yet. Thank you, Shannon, for that. All right, minutes approved. The only new business I don't have any old business. I assume we're good on old business. I know we have a lot of new business. I know some of the subcommittees were able to meet. I was hoping we could spend a couple of minutes going over feedback from those discussions and just kind of see how a lot's happened, I guess, since we met last. So I appreciate everyone being communicative on email and getting those meetings done if you were able to. If you weren't able to meet, obviously, cool, we'll get it done in the next month. So I know I had a very thorough report from Mark for his subcommittee. If Mark or someone from that group would volunteer to give us the highlights from your group, that would be awesome.
All right. I happen to have the piece of paper here in front of me, so I'll go ahead and read off.
And
of it.
this is from the education group. So this is Mark, Julia, and Jeff.
That's right. Yeah, we had a really good discussion, kind of brainstormed and then reviewed the summary of this sort of sub report. And we have, our 5, what we determined, I think, from the original email, the 5 sub initiatives. And the first one is contributing to the centralized arts and culture calendar. So we recommend that we, as a commission, identify 2 commission members to serve as liaison sort of a liaison representative to the already established Bloomington Normal Convention and Visitors Bureau calendar people, whoever is maintaining that. And then these members would forward event notifications, of which the commission has been made aware, and that the individuals would also convey updates, occasional arts and culture articles, and then arts and cultural grant opportunities, which we are also going to be working on. And then ultimately, we hope that a kind of common usage of the calendar becoming more the community becoming more aware that the community members could also communicate directly with the Bloomington Normal Convention and Visitors Bureau to post events and information. And then our second was to do something, to gather up information on arts and culture grants. So our subcommittee is going to start an ongoing research project for grant opportunities and disseminate them via the Bloomington Normal Convention and Visitors Bureau newsletter, the Bloomington Normal Arts blog, and our own to be created. Hopefully, we're suggesting, which we'll talk about in a little while, a commission listserv, kind of our email list. And that we've already created a Google Doc, and there are a couple for entries on there already for any commissioner that comes across a grant opportunity to go and fill in the little blanks, which are very few, to just make sure that we have, or to keep collecting the grants. Then we have enhancing the commission work with ideas from other communities, other commissions. That's another initiative, a sub-initiative. And our subcommittee will start again in our ongoing research to gather insights and ideas from other regional, national, and perhaps international community and arts commission organizations, and share these ideas with the commission, and perhaps implement some of them. The fourth is the enhanced commission listserv. We want our subcommittee, with significant input from other commission members and other subcommittees, will create a categorized list of individuals or constituents from the arts and cultural community of Bloomington Normal. And then the categorization, we think, will be helpful in serving to more purposefully direct information to whom it is, or for whom it is most relevant. And the last little sub-initiative that we have planned is to enhance the community connections. That was our other sort of task. And then working with the advocacy subcommittee, that our subcommittee will be standing by to provide much of the aforementioned educational information, arts and cultural community member lists, et cetera. And we suggest that the city be divided by council districts with commission members designated to liaison within a given district. This has been brought up, I think, by RJ or somebody else before. And then that'd be a more personal approach to engender a tighter connection with a given district and that council person. In the case of the downtown, we're maybe thinking maybe more than one commission member would be designated to a liaison there. So I know it's horrible to listen to somebody read to you, as my students point out, but that's what we've come up with there. And anybody wants to, add, critique, adjust, that's what we're suggesting. And we're going to be working on these ongoing bits. In the case of the Google Doc for the grants, and then the other document for ideas from other commissions in our spare time. That's it.
That was awesome.
Very cool.
Meryl has a question. I have a question too. Go ahead, Meryl. Meryl,
We can't hear you, Meryl.
muted. Can't hear you.
This microphone. Hi.
Hi.
Now we can hear you.
So just a request on formality. Mark, I don't know if Jim and Shannon have that piece of paper. I know that I do, and I know Melissa does, but if there's a way to help them with their minutes,
Yeah.
that would be great to somehow
Yeah,
get
I can share those too.
Thank
You
you.
want me to forward it, or do y'all want to forward it to one of them? I mean, whatever.
I'll forward it. Thanks.
You got it.
I got it. Thank you.
More of a, we're getting that to you.
Yes. And that way, yeah,
Yeah.
poor Shannon doesn't have to capture all of that. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
I know there's some overlap, and many of you have, we've talked about the overlap between committees, and that's a good thing, because I think there'll be good synergies between our groups. I want to just flag two things from that discussion that I think will dovetail with other efforts. The liaison component for the CVB calendar entries, I think should dovetail nicely with probably some of the discussion Kelly's group had. So hopefully that will be something that naturally is sort of an outcome of that discussion. And then I know we talked about from last fall, the fall of 2019, gathering that list of organizations. So I think that's going to touch every group, and every commissioner will have some input in that large list and how we kind of divide it up. But I know those are the two things, Mark, from immediately that jumped out at me as things that should have good overlap and help from other committees.
I don't know if Julia shared, if you all have access to the Google Docs that Julia created. Does that ring a bell with anybody having gotten the link for the Google Docs?
I did not send that to the whole group because I wasn't sure about the open, like if it was beyond just the three of us, if it needs to be addressed with open meetings or not.
Right.
So far it's just the three of us.
Okay. Can we send that to everybody, the people who know the rules of the world here?
So everything we do is public, which is fine. Like the document that Melissa sends out to all of us, that's a recap of a subcommittee meeting, and that's public. But having an active, shareable venue that the public cannot access is a gray area. So I don't know how other commissions do it.
I want to say, excuse me, we're not really meeting via the document.
Right.
We are adding to it, like you say. We need a parliamentarian here.
Is there, out of curiosity, is there a way to make that document available to the masses? Because really it's grant opportunities. That's not a hidden.
True.
It's something that should be public, but only editable by the commission members. Like, is that something like where you can view it all the time as a public entity? But we are the ones who are just like keeping it up to date.
That's a really good point, Meryl, because
Maybe I will look into it.
Yeah.
RJ says that works. I saw a thumbs up.
We could, at a minimum, what we could do is like post a PDF of the current version every quarter to our website, to the city's website. I mean, and in the background, we would update it, or every month we would just.
Yeah, I mean, is sharing it once a month with our agenda and meeting minutes, checking the box on that?
Oh, yeah, probably.
So who is the Shannon, are you?
Yep.
Who's the liaison to make sure we're correct?
Oh, Jim's going to have to chase that down with.
Okay. Okay.
Probably with Mr. Juergens, right? With Jeff.
I will let you know that I can add it to the notes, but
yeah, we can make like a packet.
You guys have to give me what is final. I'm not
perfect. Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, we can do that.
The correct paths. So
just go ahead and have it as a PDF, and I will attach it to the notes. I tried to attach our post-it notes with like within a week or two of the meeting that we just had.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds
Jim was just adding a little from his deeper experience that, we have to comply with FOIA laws, which are under the open meetings umbrella. So not every document that's FOIAble has to be constantly available, which is a good delineation. So we just have to be able to produce it, which we can. And if it's asked for, So yeah, even like a quarterly update, if we wanted to actually put that on our website, nobody goes to our website. So it's kind of a nice place to say like, hey, it was out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
YouTube now, they're all going. But so let me just get this right. I guess I'm your parliamentarian. Congratulations. So Jim's going to find out the exact details, but as of now, that document cannot be shared with our commission as a whole until we have a defined way to do that. So any updates right now, if you know of a grant opportunity, you are to send it to Mark or Julia or Jeff singularly, and they will put it on that document that is only shared between the three of them. And then once we get confirmation of this, then it could be shared widely. Does that?
And it could be shared as part of our meeting notes each month. The
Right.
current version.
Well, ultimately, we want to have it out, going out via, to the Bloomington Normal Visitors Bureau, to the blog, and I guess our website, which is not inconceivable that people would go there and look for information.
Right.
Well, if they want money, they're going to go there, right?
Right.
If
It would
that's
be a
the
reason to
purpose.
go. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I
that way
think
we have it, so once we get that defined, then we can all edit it. I don't know. I love that idea that the commission can edit it, but the public can always view it
Yeah.
live.
I like that idea too.
Is that even possible? I'm not a tech guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that I'll give some thought to the next steps as we continue, as we continue to have subcommittee results and documents from subcommittees. I think it would be easily doable to bundle those once a month or once a quarter with our meeting minutes and make sure that they're publicly available. I think that's, unless I hear otherwise from Jim, I think that that's checking the box on making sure that that information is available regularly, but it shouldn't preclude us from using it,
Right.
As a functioning document and way to collect information, especially because a lot of that information can be shared on our, shared out via our Google group.
Right.
So
our intent is to share it. I mean, it's just this mechanism of making it easy for, as one of us comes across a grant opportunity, we don't have to sort of channel all this information through somebody else. We can just log in, plunk in the name, the location, the deadline, and it's done. And that's just a really nice service. So it would be unfortunate if this gray area notion is going to impede the process of creating a list that is meant to be public. There's nothing hidden about this. We're not meeting in secret.
Right. That's
one person at a time is doing the editing.
Yeah. That's the ultimate goal, is to making sure that this is accessible by all within the.
Right.
Well, yeah. Why don't Meryl and I take on the
parliamentarian research?
Yeah. Well, any documents from our subcommittees that are shared with us or with the group, we'll just take responsibility for bundling those and making sure they're part of the agenda and meeting minutes. I mean, I think we're good.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And to Jim's point, not every single working document needs to be part of that, but a recap each month of what each subcommittee did. For your basic person that's interested in our commission, that's largely going to suffice. If someone is really focused on just wanting FOIA requests, they are free to do so, right, Jim?
Yep.
Anytime. Okay.
You're muted, Jim.
Yeah.
He's only talking to Kelly.
Gotcha.
He's saying they have to be specific. I mean, you can't just say like, I want everything the commission did over the last year.
Yeah,
you can't, you have to be very specific. So, they can ask, they can watch a recording of this meeting and see that our heart's in the right place, but we're trying to get some work done. I mean, that's kind of a rub here.
Yeah. That's the
any other
Go ahead.
Any other questions for Mark's group, and then we can move on to our next subcommittee? I'm sure we'll have some questions and overlap as we go, but
we'll figure this out.
Kelly, can I ask you to go next?
Sure.
For the support committee?
Yes, and we do have a lot of overlap with some of our top priorities with education because of the calendaring element. Shweta and I met on Monday, and RJ was not able to be there due to the death in a family, which is tragic. So we definitely agreed that updating that organizational list would be a really good thing to like get after and get that done and using that as an opportunity for outreach. Really liked that thing as something we could get done. And actually and then it serves everyone really well in different ways. And Shweta, she's all about, oh, the three of us can take care of it. It's like 90 organizations. I'm like, well, I think we could split that out a little bit more. She was very enthusiastic. So good for her. And then we talked about she had a really good point that we really need to lay this out, so that we envision sending out an email to the existing list that we had, and explaining why it's valuable to respond, why it's valuable to be a part of this list. And so we're going to work on that sort of a draft opening or draft statement and bring that, get everybody else's feedback on that. A reason to be included, and who the commission is, remind them of that. And then ask them if their information is correct. Like, this is the information we have for you, executive director, email, contact info. Is this correct? And if not, please provide any corrections. And then we thought about the calendaring and supporting and amplifying things for these organizations, asking the question, do you have anything planned in 2021 that you'd like to share more broadly? I'm not sure how to phrase that exactly, but or should we limit it to Q1? But I think people are in so uncertainty, just 2021, people are kind of thinking more broadly. Yeah. But that would be a reason to respond as well. And then we could, if anything's really on the books, remind them of the calendar, the CVB calendar, like, hey, you want to make sure and get that here. But Mark, we would work with your team to kind of like, how do we use the information we got about events or showings or things that are going on, and how we get that to CVB and maybe into their newsletter, and sort of figure out this cadence that might serve the needs of a lot more people. That was our primary focus, because getting that done and getting some outreach to the organizations would be something we could get after pretty quickly. And then our connection with the Convention and Visitor Bureau, I agree, we need a person or two to just be their liaisons. I did that just because Matt reached out to me as the chair. I do not need to be that liaison. But someone that attends those quarterly meetings, gets to know the players there. Kelly Highland is the one that does the newsletter. She's eager to every input. And so that's where we left it at that. I did send an email to Robin Vandermeer of the Citizens Beautification Committee and asked her, where do you put your stuff? Like, they have historic records of who won the beautification award, and surely you have to put that stuff somewhere. And her response was, I wish I had a better answer. Basically they had binders full of information. And then Angelique's like, really? Paper? Yes, paper. They recently, and because they're under Parks and Rec is their sponsor, Parks and Rec is now storing that information somewhere. But I was hoping she would have like some information, but this is a problem, I think, for all commissions and committees, is how to get behind the scenes work done. Where do you store stuff? Because right now I have this list on my own computer. Well, that's not good if, I drop dead or move. I mean, there needs to be sort of this cadence of where it's stored, what quarter is it reviewed in, how does it get updated?
Kelly, I was just thinking about how many binders that is. That's what that face was.
Yeah, because that's committee's been in existence for decades, I think. So yeah, you're right. That's probably a a large amount of binders somewhere. Parks and
Find
Rec.
boards is
Yeah,
a better
Parks,
binder.
Parks and Rec is in charge of them now, apparently. She said they had someone that didn't want to share on their committee and so like wouldn't bring them. I don't know. I wasn't willing to engage. I didn't need historical drama of their committee. So anyway, that's our story. The Google Docs comes up again too. But our thought is, I pulled that list out last night, and there's about 90 organizations. A good 8 to 10 of those are ISU and IW professors, like head of department, head of the theater. So those are easy. Those are public. But still an outreach for what's going on in 2021, what they have on the docket. So we have 11 of us. So that would be like 10 organizations to reach out once we kind of said, here's our opening, here's the questions to answer, and here's the email, and here's the list, and then to update your own list. And then our committee would take that and update the master so that not everybody was working on we wouldn't have 12 people having a meeting around an open source document. That's it.
Yeah, I think I appreciate that. I think that list is critical to each subcommittee and our work as a whole. So if I think that needs to be our number one priority, getting that updated. I like the idea of pushing out communication to them, like hey, we're still here.
Yes.
And just kind of recognizing, I'm sure many of them have been struggling the past year. So nice maybe to hear from us. And yeah, a little bit of that light at the end of the tunnel and plans moving forward, hopefully for most of them. I think asking each group too, if there's someone else they want to recommend that.
Oh, that's a good point.
It gets added to the group, or even if there's someone else within the organization that they want to be, receiving communications from us. I know there's not typically multiple people at some of these groups, but I know some are serving in a volunteer only capacity, but that might be a way we can sort of expand. 90 is still great. It's still a lot of touches. So, but maybe there's room to grow that.
And that's one thing we talked about, like, how do you, each of us needs to be kind of cognizant of paying attention to new groups, new theater groups. You just sort of, you sort of bump into stuff like that, or even a new business that pops up. There's no good way to do that. It has to almost like word of mouth. There's someone that's getting, starting their own, gallery, or starting their own dance troupe or something. Like, so we always need to pay attention, feed that in, and then do that outreach.
I just want to reiterate too, once we get that master list cleaned up, I think it's really a good idea to categorize it, because there's quite a difference between, a dance group and a painting group, or whatever the case, cultural history. So, I mean, some would fall into multiple categories, but I think it would be really nice to place them in a category so that when we have targeted information, we don't have to go through the list and say, okay, let's see who wants to know that. And, as with everything, if you deluge everyone with every bit of information on arts and culture, they might get worn out. I don't know if it would really come to that. And it's probably good to share all arts and cultural information with all people, but especially in the case of some targeted information, especially grants.
Yeah, that's a good point. We'll work on an outreach email and send that out for feedback to everyone, and we'll send it out to all, then you can respond individually to whoever sends it to you. And we'll bring that back.
Awesome. That's super helpful. Thank you. And I'm happy to take a chunk of that too, even though I'm not, or Meryl and I can split up and do, the two of us can be our own little.
Excellent, because yes, I am using division by 11.
Yeah, that's perfect. You can send it. Yeah, then we can be our own little subcommittee for that, for the purposes of updating that list. That works perfect. Any
Also gives you,
other?
yeah, it also gives you like a little group of 8 to 10 that maybe know to reach out to you then with their own
Yeah.
stuff, which is not overwhelming, which is nice.
I can take all the Illinois State folks. I talk to them regularly anyway. So you can give
wow.
those folks to me for sure.
Cool. Any other questions?
That was great. Awesome. So advocacy, Angelique, did you guys have a chance to meet?
Yep, we met twice. I just didn't think for whatever reason to send you the minute.
That's okay, no worries.
I didn't
But
send
did
Melissa
just give
anything.
you, I did just give you, since I've been giving my subcommittee the PDF, so they don't have access to the live document, but I did give you and Shannon commenter access. So there's only 3 of us that have the live access. I'm assuming that's okay. So yeah. We, of course, there was overlap, but we were talking about how the advocacy is more like it's kind of 2 point. So there's the internal and there's the external. So externally is our seat at the table, like as far as city government goes, as far as city council goes, as far as even the CVB, but external, more making sure that we have a seat at the table. And then the other one is for the community at large to have voice and to be heard and to be unified, that we're not stepping on each other's toes, et cetera, et cetera. I feel like we could be a really good central point for that. But even before we have those really big external conversations, the commission obviously has to have a unified vision. So we had 3 basic goals. One was the Unified Cultural Commission 2021 vision. That the second would be increasing the advocacy / bridging arts and cultural gaps in our community, which requires the updating the list, and I'll get to that in a second. And then establishing our relevance within the city government to avoid situations without our input. So there was a lot of like big picture discussion, and then needing to reel it back will take a little bit more pinpointing, because the big picture would be really awesome if with the constant conversations with the city or the city council and them actually communicating to their wards, and that way we have that extra entity helping us out, so it's not just us doing all the work. That's another way for city council to actually also connect to their wards, because I still know lots of people that don't even know the wards exist, let alone who their council person is making decisions for their life. So that's a big problem. So making sure that we're having that constant communication back and forth, which is what we're talking about, seat at the table. Let's see what's next. We did mention the Public Arts Committee. What's our role with them? When does it begin? We need to know who our reps are going to be, because again, that's the external. And then so let me go back to the updating the list. So our angle for the updating of the list, Mark's input of the organization is, that's the categories. That's brilliant. We want to come at it from also we need to have like the set, just like we did when we made the list, where there is a set liaison for 8 to 10 groups, that you're already familiar with these groups. There may be 1 or 2 that you're not, but you are the cultural commission liaison for that group. You're it. Like that's the back and forth. You have personalized meetings with them, take them coffee, go for walks at the beach, whatever beach there is in Bloomington. And then you go, and then you bring that back, whatever relevancy. So you would come, let me find my note for that specific, so find talking points. So you're building the relationships with these groups, bring back the talking points and ideas and questions, instead of constantly having like all the cultural groups at the table, like making sure that we have on each committee. We may not need that. So like these relationship building conversations if there is someone who has something epic to discuss with us, then they can be brought to the commission meeting. Then that group and artists can come to the meeting. So they have a vision for the city that we hadn't thought of, or they have this epic thing that they're trying to doing to unify. We kind of want to bring them to the table to kind of be on the same page so that there's no separate entities doing the same thing, kind of, yeah. And then like if organizations or artists are having issues with reaching the masses, I mean, we've had that issue, no matter who BCAI seems to talk to. This is like in our early days. It seems like it's just very difficult if you don't know somebody. So that's going to be hard for people who are moving here, who see a need and try to fix it and they can't get out. So having difficulties reaching the masses, or they're facing conflict. This is where we should be coming in. Advocacy. This ties into the letters from the editor as well. So then that liaison would be the one to write that letter, would have to get it approved by the commission since it is representing the commission's relationship with this person. But yeah. And then of course, making a personal contact with the city manager, and that after we have a unified voice. The overlaps that a lot of our ideas have is the support, in the support category of the one that's 3.1 and both 3.9s. So update the list and arts and cultural elements in given districts, and then support the Public Arts Commission. The public arts. And education 2.7. So arts and cultural awareness campaign. So that's where our overlap is. We knocked out, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We knocked out 4 of our 5 things with the only thing we didn't really touch on is cultural district. I don't think that's like the highest priority at the second. I think we really need that unified voice. So we need to get the community to know that we exist and that we are what we're here for, so that we can build those relationships. And then we can go from there, because that's going to naturally strengthen the cultural district. So you know what? We knocked out all 5. Bam.
Nice
We're done.
work.
Nice work. Yeah. And I
have-
agree with the prioritization that, I mean, that'd be a huge step forward if we all just actually made action and made some real progress on anything that, like on all the 1s and 2s that everybody rated. I mean, that's a great start, just that. So well done.
There's a lot of overlap with that last. In our case, we have the enhancing community connections, and that's basically what Angelique was suggesting. So she's adding the idea of specifically reaching out to a cohort within a district that is kind of our responsibility. How many districts or wards are there? Does anybody know off the top of their head?
Is there 9? Wait, no, is there 9? 9.
Yes, there's 9.
9.
So that's doable. So maybe we should start thinking about that. Although somebody in some northwest corner wouldn't have as much in the way of arts.
I do have a quick update on Jim, Kelly, and I chatted over email sometime since December's meeting about the changes happening. Obviously, we have a municipal election coming up where we will have a new mayor, and many wards will have a new city council rep. So these are all really good points. I do think just because of the nature of our timeline, we'll have to kind of pause on some of our outreach. Now, only half of the wards are up for re-election. So there are wards, my ward, Julie Emig, is not up for election. So there's still some outreach we can start in the wards where we're not going to have a change in 8 weeks or less. So that's just something to keep in the back of your head. But that is a discussion that we had about reassigning, maybe not assigning, might be too strong of a word, but since Jamie Massey has moved to the Technology Commission, is there, and Jeff, stepped back now. So is there another point person per se that we should be communicating with specifically? Although I think everyone in this group has made the point already, and the results show, and Angelique's committee just discussed this. It is important for each of us to have communication directly to our city council folks in obviously they represent you in your ward. That's literally their job. So I do think maybe there's some best practices we can put around, reaching out to them. I know Kelly's been really good at doing this, and sharing updates back with Kim, right? Kim is your city council rep, Kelly, and I know you've done it with others as well.
I'm in Ward 9, so yeah, Kim Bray. I've not been as good as you make it sound, but
you have.
but yes, we all
being
need to.
honest.
I need to do better, and she's up for re-election, so
Yeah.
I like all of us having a stronger outreach, letting your council person know that you're on the commission and you appreciate their support. And I also personally like having a city council person that is our liaison, that we can invite to a meeting, or we can run stuff by and say like, hey, because Jamie was good for that. Like, I don't think you're going to get traction on this. I would add A, B, or C. That kind of guidance is really helpful, and for us to have a ready person, like that's our person guidance.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
Jim pointed out that we should wait till the election occurs and then go after.
Yeah, and I think that I've talked to Julie Emig a couple of times since she moved over to be the executive director at the History Museum. She might be a great, really, really great ally and resource for us, because she's embedded downtown and is really integral to that scene. Not that the cultural district isn't community wide, but she might be a good liaison with her finger on the pulse than some of our other options. So I know RJ, I saw you flicker, or
yeah,
did you want to add something?
I was just going to say that I've talked with Jeff, and Jeff has expressed interest in just coming back to visit. If we ever have anything that we'd like to talk to him about, he would certainly come back and visit the commission anytime if we wanted to talk to him.
Super. The other thing, Angelique, that you mentioned that I wanted to touch on, just as we haven't forgotten about, it sounds like there has been no movement and won't be any movement on public art until after the election. Did I read that right, Jim and Kelly, based on our last communication, or?
No one heard anything.
Maybe. Yeah. I remember checking the website and not even seeing it as a established commission. Did I make that up?
So it's not in the city code yet, because they all are.
I don't remember seeing it when I was looking through. I was looking through to make sure our information was updated, and I didn't remember seeing it. So I can do some more homework on that between now and our next meeting also.
Melissa, are you looking for a public art commission? Is that what you're looking for?
That's happening.
I know it's happening. I bet very slowly, very slowly. So
we haven't missed anything, right?
No, you have not.
Yeah, I thought so.
So I just wanted to let you know that.
I just looked on the city website just to make sure our information was updated, and I looked at that list of boards and commissions, and I didn't see it listed there yet. I had a recommendation actually for someone I wanted to encourage to apply for the Public Art Commission, but I didn't see it there as an option to apply for yet.
Does that commission committee, does that include murals, or was that just for like structures, like sculptures and stuff?
What we're looking at, Angelique, is any and all public art pieces, the way we define it, is above ground.
Okay.
So I don't know why anybody would put anything underground, but nonetheless, anything above ground. So
I think that would be really dope. I'm not gonna lie. I would visit it. I would go.
So
I know the Washington Street underpass, I guess that could be technically underground.
There you go. That's a good example. A couple of next steps as we wrap up. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to meet outside of our regular commission meetings. It's super helpful to really have that energy and keep driving us forward. So thanks for that time. I'm hoping that this continues to be very manageable, and that we can spend an hour or two outside this meeting having those other discussions. But if that becomes unwieldy, let me know. within each subcommittee, I asked everyone who reported today to take the lead in setting up their first meeting. So thank you for that. I'm going to let your trios decide how to do that moving forward. If you want to rotate, if whatever works for you is cool, just let me know. If whoever's the coordinator could just, between now and our next meeting, just send me a quick note that you've met or that you're meeting or what you need. And can I ask Kelly, Jeff, and Angelique, just since you three led your first groups, could the three of you, and again, this shouldn't violate any acts now that we have just the three, but could you three touch base on the list? Because it sounds like Kelly has the list. Mark wants to do some subcategorization with the list, and then Angelique can help with the assignments of the list so that we each have our little cohort. But we still obviously only have the one list. So it probably makes sense for Kelly. I know that probably needs to be the first thing so that we can get the list updated, but I'll let you three have that discussion about the sharing of the list and all that good stuff, if that's okay.
I will, Angelique and Mark, I'll reach out and see when we can maybe put it on the screen together and talk through process and what we need to do there.
And can we be working? I know that, the count, when is the election? May or something?
April.
April.
April. So it seems to me we could be working on our structure, how we want to divide the city, how we want to assign a commissioner.
Oh yeah.
You plunk in the name. I mean, that way we're ready to pounce on the new person.
On the new people.
Yeah, Kelly has that list. I mean, you emailed that to us. Kelly had a list of each.
You're right. I need to update that.
Yeah, which
Of
ward
who's
they're
in each ward.
Yeah.
I'll update that. It's
We
another
do have that
document that
meeting.
should not only be on my personal drive.
Yeah, and I'll keep a record of that also. But we do, yeah, I agree. I just meant as far as half of you have a new, may have a new city council.
Yeah.
Since there are nine wards, somebody said, so, and there are, 12 of us, something like that? What are we?
11.
11.
11 of us. Oh, we're missing still a person then.
No, we're capped out at 11.
Oh,
If I may, I'm just going to throw in that Kelly and Mark, when you two are talking, I've worked with the people of the City Visitors Bureau before through work. So if you want to put me forward on our end there, Kelly, that's totally fine with me. To work
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Angelique?
I'm just trying to think of what would be the most productive so we can really actually get going. And I'm wondering if it isn't more productive to give everybody the list as it is and us figure out who our personal ties are on that list.
Sure.
And get that back to either Melissa or Shannon, and then maybe highlight the ones that don't have parents, you know what I'm saying, like us.
Right.
And then we can go from there. Maybe, does that make sense? Make sure we all have the list that as is, and then we all, I don't know how we would go about that, either through Melissa or Shannon or Meryl, whoever wants to be that person.
Well, the problem is I don't want 11 versions of the list. And I hear what you're saying. And unless
no.
am I hearing
So
that
I
we
would
could do a Google Doc and then share it, just post that, but it has people's personal contact information.
No. What I'm saying is you send out the list as in PDF. I would email you back my 10 that I'm personally connected to. And then if there's overlap, we can discuss that in the next meeting, but at least that way a whole step is knocked out before the next meeting, instead of planning, and then talking about this again next meeting. We could already have that done by the next meeting.
I can do that. I can send that out, and that's a good point to PDF it so that people can't take it and adjust it. Be respectful of people's contact information, most of which is public, but I did do some digging and contacting for some of their emails.
And I, for instance, don't know anyone, so I can be the at-large, whoever I take the leftover.
Right. Yeah, I'm not going to know.
Well, and if it's on an Excel spreadsheet, maybe you delete the address and phone number and email, and you just have the name and the
Oh, good point.
organization, and you can
Yeah.
send that out. That way you're not really sending out any personal information.
That's a really good point. Yeah, it's just the organization name is all that you need to look at real quick and see, do you know any of these people?
Yeah, that and maybe a contact person. If
Yeah,
we
the
don't know
executive director.
Yeah, or whoever. Yeah.
Very good point. I can do that. And then you can respond individually to me and I'll update it and put some people's names, and then we'll be able to identify the blank spots.
I mean, I'm not against meeting. I love the both of you. I mean, it's kind of exciting to meet with you, but
Yeah,
I'm
no,
just saying, we can still meet.
I'm thinking, I agree with you. I am just thinking about
Yeah. We can move forward, definitely.
So Kelly, does your subcommittee still want to do the outreach email, or do we want that to come from each commissioner individually as their touch point and introduction to the groups individually? I guess
We
about
individually is what we had suggested. We thought that we would try to frame up a rough draft for everyone to kind of provide input on.
Yes.
Okay.
I like that.
'Cause, going from nothing to something is kind of the heavy lifting, and then everybody always we can make it better together. So we'll do that.
This may be not a great idea, but I'll at least throw it out there. Do we want to meet again in 2 weeks? And we could do a working session on, I know we did that before our last event where we did a working session on the list and the
Sure.
data and we could
memo,
do that in
right.
2 weeks, but between now and our next meeting, and just work on.
Are you
short
talking about like a webinar kind of like this? Because it's a lot to put together.
Oh,
I mean, you guys got your subcommittees. I didn't know if you wanted to, but that's fine. Just letting you know that that means you guys have to show up, Kelly and Jim. So we'll need to check with Jim's schedule before we schedule 2 more weeks out.
Or Jim can send. He
this
can
could
send
be a bad
John Hood.
idea. So tell me if everyone's like, no, we'll just meet as a subcommittee and talk again in a month. That's cool. But if we want to do like a working session where we can just knock out the list, get our assignments in, and that's an option. I know it's harder since we're virtual, and this was way more efficient when we were able to pass the list around in person and just knock it out together. But that's an idea.
Yeah, all I'm saying is if we host another meeting like this, is that we have to make sure that Jim can be there as well as somebody else, and then we have to get IT involved. So it's just a little bit more work to get this hosted and up again in 2 weeks.
It is more challenging, but I can do 2 weeks from today. I don't know if you're available. He's checking his calendar now. If you're not, send Jong Hoon.
And we're looking at tentatively looking at Thursday, March 4th would be our 2-week spot, potentially.
And I won't be able to be there because I have a training that starts. It's a webinar training for the city of Bloomington. I don't know, it's some kind of customer training in Munis, so I won't be able to be there.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be in the same training as Shannon. So, but we'll get Jung Hoon over. We'll bring him over.
He was voluntold.
Yes, he's the artistic director. Yeah.
Notes.
We'll take our own notes.
Yeah, we can do that, Shannon. That's
not a problem.
I had quite a bit of technical difficulty today getting everything come through, and there was a lot of pauses. Marilyn, did you say you were taking notes, or did somebody else?
Jim said he was.
Jim's taking notes.
And then I guess the next meeting, whoever just send them to me, PDF Word works well. The
Word
Google
works very well. Yes. Okay. Yes, we would take our own notes, and so I will send out the list with the organizations and the person that we used as a contact in 2019, and then just reply directly to me if you know of changes, like that person moved away or whatever. And then if you know them, if you have a personal relationship, send that back to me as soon as you can. And then hopefully we'll have most of that by the time we meet in 2 weeks, and then we can fill in the blanks. And I guess
Yeah.
the first 10 blanks will go to Mark because he doesn't know anybody.
That's right. And our subcommittees are just to try to communicate with each other and move something forward between now and the next. Because we have our little, what we've already accomplished, and we can probably identify something within each of our sub initiatives to move some of that forward if we can, independently of the whole commission. At least we can look at it.
Yeah, I think this needs to be our priority for the next 4 weeks. So subcommittees may be sub priority, but I think updating the list is critical for each subcommittee. And then there's a couple little minor things like the ward list and the city council reps. So there might be some smaller support pieces that we can get in place between now and our next meeting, but I don't think we can do a ton of subcommittee work. The grant Google Doc can start, but we can't do a lot of our top priorities without that list.
But some of us can do more than one thing at a time. I sometimes
Yes.
do 2-3 things at a time before breakfast.
Well, if you want to, I would be very helpful if someone wants to help sort of like frame up a draft email that we're going to send to these organizations because we had some great, why it's valuable to respond, who we are, we're anxious to help you support you as you remake your entire business for 2021 after 2020. I don't know, support you as you recover. Any kind of phrasing like that would be very helpful for people to think on that.
It does seem like our list is the foundation and everything is going to build off of it. So I
Yeah.
didn't mean to dismiss the list as being a priority because it certainly is.
Kelly, I can help you with the letter,
Super.
the framework. And then, yes, I'm with Melissa because our group, we need that list to do everything
And I'm
else.
happy to help with email too, the outreach email for sure. Okay, so we have a little bit of a to-do list, and we'll meet again March 4th. I'll confirm that with Shannon and Jim so we can get the technology and the back end set up for that. But we'll talk then and try to knock out the list and then meet again on I think it's 18th is or 19th, something like that is our next meeting. Is that everything?
Oh, that has to be everything right now.
Woohoo! All right. Thanks, everyone.
Okay.
Bye.
We're adjourned. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, bye.